I cannot believe that this is the first time we are chatting. What the heck?
Hello. Oh, that's such a nice intro. It's a pleasure.
Let me start over then. You know, I actually fell in love with your voice. I don't know if it was when I heard Take Care of You or if it was Hold Me Close, but your voice, the smile in it is just so infectious.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to snip that and use it in every single intro I ever have.
Was that a better intro for you?
Yeah, I loved it. No, thank you. Yeah, do you know what? The last couple of years have been a right whirlwind, and especially since, the whole global pandemic and everyone going on crazy lockdowns and all of that. So I think, do you know what? I just think dance music has been like the thing that I've gone to just make me feel okay and sane through it all. And making these records and writing these records has just it's been a lot of fun, because I feel like through every dance record I've ever done, there's always like a heightened emotion through it of what I'm talking about. And I think that's kind of probably what you're talking about for me, and the lyrics are everything. And yeah, so it's been a lot of fun these last few years for sure.
Well, you definitely have a lot of songs out right now that we're going to talk all about. But first of all, welcome to America's Dance 30.
Woo!
Congratulations on No Sleep with Regard going #1. That is so incredible.
Thank you, mate. Thank you so much. Yeah, mega excited and just like super, super chuffed that people are enjoying it. And, like whenever I do these records and collaborations, it's always like, it's one thing me feeling it in the studio and feeling like it's an amazing record, but then when the rest of the world says so too, and especially America, like, it feels amazing, as a little northern British girl over here.
Now, I know that this is Regard's 7th #1, which is mind-blowing. Is this your 3rd #1 on the U.S. dance chart?
I think so. I believe so.
Because you had a #1 with David Guetta.
Yes.
You had a #1 with Frank Walker.
Yeah. You're right.
I'm your accountant here.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it was 3 and then it's actually 2, and I'm just actually selling myself and lying to everyone that's listening. But no, that is true. I've had 3 US #1s, which is incredible. And thank you for all your support over there. It's been amazing. It's kind of like, it's so bizarre. I think because at one point it was just like, oh, will music ever travel again? Are we all going to like dip in and out of each other's countries again? And like, just like having the fact that I can be here writing these songs and recording these records and collaborating with like DJ Regard is someone that I highly respect, and I've wanted to work with him for a while. And when he sent over the idea of using the sample, and I was like, this is incredible, let's do it. And the writers that I've worked with on doing that as well, who are really close friends. Like, it's just fun, man. And then feeling like other people are experiencing that fun too. That's the main thing.
Well, we're going to delve deeper into it and find out how No Sleep was born coming up. But let's get to know Ella Henderson a little better first with Finky's Firsts.
Okay, let's do it.
So I love finding out the origin story of artists. I know that you started singing really young, like 3 years old, right?
Yeah, I was pretty young. I think I could sing before I could talk.
That's so crazy. And you taught yourself how to play piano really young as well, right?
I did. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, and none of them could play. We had a piano in the house, but nobody played. It was just an ornament. And then I came along and finally was like, okay, well, someone's going to have to play it. Yeah, but as a kid, I remember I was just obsessed with anything that made like sounds and just was, so like, I actually always thank Barney the dinosaur for encouraging me to sing, because that TV show I was obsessed with apparently as a kid. And one of the first songs I ever sang was I Love You, Barney. And also Annie, the music Annie, I used to love. And I used to go around the house apparently singing Tomorrow, Tomorrow. And my mum was like, you just could sing before you could talk. It was really weird. Like you just would like hum things and stuff. So it's always been in me. But yeah, I think as well, being the youngest, you probably have to be a bit more of like a gobby child to like be cut through the other siblings. So that was me. I had to like fight to be heard. So singing was the only way.
Well, thank God you did. And I mean, obviously the first thing you wanted to be was a singer if you were singing that young. But when you were growing up, was there anything else that you wanted to be?
No. I'd love to lie. I'd love to lie to you and like create some like amazing story. Like I wanted to be an astronaut, but No, I used to charge my family to come watch me perform in the living room, and I'd stand on the living room table with like a feather boa around my neck, and my nan would flick the light switch being like, all the way from America. And I used to come out and I'd charge them to come in there, and I'd make fake show tickets out of the newspaper and everything. Like, that for me was like everything. I just loved putting a smile on people's faces of performing. I think I've always had it in me. I don't know where it comes from. Probably my grandparents. Like my granddad was a really good singer, and my nan is just full of life. She's 87 and still sings to this day. So she's definitely been a role model for me. But I think, do you know what? I think I always admired like big female vocalists, like whether it be, I grew up on a lot of jazz and soul music. So like Etta James, Billie Holiday. And I feel like when I listen to those kind of voices, even like Aretha Franklin, there's something about a woman behind a mic singing about how she's feeling, and that's all she needs to do, nothing else, like let the voice do the talking. And I think I've just always been inspired by that. And I think the first probably artist in the UK that did that for me was Amy Winehouse, where I just completely was like smitten with someone. Like the first time I ever saw her perform on TV, I can remember I recorded it, I rewound it, I watched it like 50 times over, and from that moment I was obsessed. And I loved her love for lyrics and her poetry and stuff. So yeah, I think I've always had that in me to kind of like be a performer. But I think it's funny. As a child, I was very out there. Then in my teenage years, I was very introverted. So I actually preferred the idea of, okay, maybe I want to be a songwriter. And then I obviously did the route of X Factor and my whole life changed. So, yeah.
It's so funny. We were the same person growing up. I was annoying as a kid. And then when I hit my teens, I was very shy. And now I'm in radio. Yeah. So we're the same person.
Now, roundabouts, come back.
How much did an Ella Henderson show cost back then?
Oh, guys, it was only about $1.
That was a good deal.
Yeah, no, you was getting a really great deal. I mean, I say a good deal, but these were songs that I wrote when I was like 7, so they probably weren't that great.
Well, let's talk about that, because not only do you have No Sleep with Regard, you've got React with Switch Disco, you've got your brand new song, is it 0800 or 0800?
We say 0800, but I feel like in America it was 0800.
So you've got that with Joel Corey and Nathan Daw, but what was the first song you ever wrote?
The very first song that I ever wrote, I think it was called My Papa, and it was all about my dad. And it was basically, he picked me up late from school one day, so I wrote a song about how he never comes to get me. It's so funny because it was actually, whenever I used to sing it, like people used to be like, oh my God, like, does your dad not in your life and is he not around? I was like, no, I've got the best dad ever. Like, he used to hate it when I sing it because he'd be like, you make it sound like I've been like not in your life. I don't care. I was like, listen, Dad, just stop being late picking me up from
You're
school.
Like, I'll get you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that Taylor Swift effect where you end up just writing like, you do me wrong, I will write a song about you.
That is hilarious. Now, I saw the video that you did for Delish where one of the first things that you make people do when they come over to your house is pick an angel card. What was your angel card today?
Do you know what? I haven't done it yet, but they're literally here, so let's do them.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. I thought this was so, I honestly, when you were starting the video, so I have a pot by my door too, but it's for,
really?
Yeah, but it's for people to throw their change into.
You're doing like...
I'm so Jewish.
You know what's so funny? I don't know if you can see the Gothic arch in the back. I actually live in a church conversion, so I feel like I should be doing a church collection on arrival here.
That's what I thought it was going to be. But the angel cards are definitely a great touch. Let's get your angel card for today.
Okay, so mine today is... Vision. And there's a little board in the background that says Soul, Sight, Future.
I feel like that's got a lot of meaning for this interview.
And then your card, I'll do your card for you, is...
I'm nervous.
Inspiration.
I like it. Oh, this is beautiful.
They're very positive.
That is so awesome. Now, of course, as you mentioned, and everybody knows, you were on the X Factor when you were 16. But do you remember the first time you actually performed?
I do. It was in school in like primary school, so in like prep school. I was very young. And how it actually happened was there was like a day when I was inside in a lesson and I started singing at the back of the classroom in my own world. And the science teacher was like, "Who is that?" And I thought I was about to get told off. So I was like, I looked at the floor. And then he was like, "Who was that singing?" And in the end, everyone was pointing at me and I was like, beetroot red. And then he was like, "Come here." And then I came over and he was like, "Stay behind after class." And I did. And then he put me forward to the music teacher and was like, she should sing in the school choir. And because I was so young, I was like the youngest one in it at the time. And then they gave me like a solo and it's the first time I sang. And I'll never forget that my science teacher stood up in assembly that at that point and was like, "Just before she sings, everyone, I want everyone to know that I found her first."
Of course.
To this day, I still owe Mr. Smith everything, which is quite funny.
Have you run into Mr. Smith?
No, he's not. Unfortunately, he passed away. So I really wanted to like have a reunion stuff. But a lot of my old school teachers are still alive and everything, and they're amazing. But like he was the first to like really acknowledge me. And I feel like the fact that he found me, because I never would have been the kid that would have like gone and auditioned for something or anything like that. I feel like my confidence very slowly built up over time.
Now, did he get a chance to see you become popular before he passed?
Do you know what? I'm not so sure. I think he did. I think he saw when I did X Factor and stuff like that. But then I found out he passed away not long after I was on the show. So I don't think he got to see any of my success going on. Which is funny because like the pinnacle people in my life, as funny as it is like that he was a teacher and he found me in the classroom, like him and my granddad was an amazing singer and he would have been so, so proud. Like he's the reason I do actually sing, to be honest, because from being a kid, I'd stay over on a weekend. He'd put me up on the ledge on the side while he was cooking breakfast. And I can remember like the smell of bacon and everything. And then he'd play old records and he was really into the Rat Pack and Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. And he would sing all of that. And then I would sing all the female parts. We would like duet on like Unforgettable. And I'd sing all Nancy Sinatra's parts and stuff. And, like he would have been so proud because he always used to say like she's gonna be a star one day, and like my mum and dad would be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever."
She's only charging $1. She can't be that big of a star.
Exactly. I come from such a small town as well, so it was very much like big fish in a small pond. So things like what's happened with my career like don't happen to people from where I'm from. So yeah, it's been a wild journey, but one that I'm truly, truly grateful for.
Well, I'm sure both of them are looking over you right now and are so proud of you. Is it weird having video from when you were 16 and looking back on everything from X Factor? Because I'll tell you what, I thank God that there was no video of me from a 16.
Well, do you know what? I try not to watch it because I just can't, even though I'm not at an age yet where I can still accept, oh, bless me, I was 16. I feel like that won't happen until I'm in like my 50s or something, because I watch it back and I'm like, what was I doing wearing navy tights with trainers in a floral dress? I get really, really frustrated about it. And I question it whenever I go watch it. I'm just like, I can't look past it. And then, yeah, for me, it's just like really cringe. I can't watch it. I can't watch myself back. And I hate watching it. Even like this, I couldn't watch this back because I hate watching interviews back. I don't know. I'm very much what you see is what you get with me. And I'm very honest. I say it how it is. So sometimes I'm like, I put my foot in it or I say things. I'm like, yeah, just don't watch it back, Ella. It's worth just leaving it.
Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, finally, in Finky's first, in honor of No Sleep with Regard going #1, of course, the song is all about not losing sleep over somebody. But what is the first thing that does make you lose sleep? Besides rewatching your old videos?
Probably when if I have an early flight to the airport, that's it. I can't sleep. Like, you know, and you just wait. It doesn't matter when you set your alarm for. I'll set 3 alarms and I still don't believe they're going to go off and I think I'm going to sleep through them. So I just wake up on the hour and I may as well have just stayed up.
Especially since, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm packing at like 2 a.m. when I've got to leave at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's me as well.
Oh, it's the worst. Well, let's talk about this #1 smash, No Sleep with Regard. How was this song born?
So this song was actually sent to me, and the chorus was kind of already done with an amazing female writer called Georgia Koo, who you may know of because she's like done really well actually over in the US with a lot of dance records and collaborations over there as well. And I met Georgia. She moved back from LA to London like just over a year ago. And we met up in the studio, and I'd heard this record. So I was like, please, can we get in the studio? And then we spoke about it, and we finished it and worked on it, and I recorded parts on it. And I just fell in love with it. And then it's really funny, like me and her have built a really close friendship ever since. And like we go for coffees, we like hang out and stuff. So that's been really lovely. And I think for me, I just loved the whole concept that, you know, somebody thinking that they're literally ruining your life when actually it's like, no, I'm just completely out and away from you, and I've completely forgotten about you with a click of a finger. I just love it's quite an empowering record, really, and it's fun. And I mean, you can't not love the Insomnia sample either.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so timeless. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my God, I need to be a part of this. Like, it literally reminded me of my childhood. And my sister's 10 years older than me. She was like, your childhood? Do you mean my childhood? And I was like, yeah, well, you know what I mean. I caught onto the tail end of it. And she's like, no, you didn't. You was like a baby. And I was like, it's funny though. I feel like that kind of music just is forever timeless, and like runs through everybody's veins at some point. And it's really interesting. Like, my niece didn't know it was a sample, and she was like, I love this song. And it's so funny, like how when you reinvent a sample and you do it, fingers crossed I did it well. I'm hoping, because it's number one, people are assuming it is. But like, it's there's a pressure with it, but there's also this thing of like wanting to do it justice because you want a song to live on forever, even though it already did. But it's just fun. Like, I think whenever I do a record or take a sample, especially, which is kind of what I've been doing over the last couple of years with quite a few collaborations, my number one thing is like respecting what's already there and not breaking what's not broken, kind of thing. So yeah, there's an element of that to it. But yeah, I love singing this song. I've been singing it live at my festival shows here in the UK, and it goes crazy when it comes on. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was just talking to Anne-Marie about her interpolation with David Guetta, Baby Don't Hurt Me, and the redo of Hadaway. And that was one of my questions was, do you in the back of your mind, do you worry about what the original artist is going to think about it?
Absolutely. I think it's really funny as well. Like, when I did the Switch Disco record React,
with Robert Miles.
So the Robert Miles children, when they sent it to me, I was like, we can't touch this. Nobody should touch this. I was like, nobody should do this. And then it was funny. The more and more I listened to the track when they sent it over, I was like, okay, I have got some melodies. And then I wrote the melodies, and then I went into the studio and recorded them down and kind of did it. And then I was kind of like, this is kind of really good. We should definitely let's see what everyone else thinks. And then everyone was like, well, why not? And you know what? It's one of those songs as well where we kind of put it out with no pressure. And over here, it's been doing amazing. Like, been in the top 10 for quite a while now. And I think there's just a level of nostalgia that like brings like old and new together on these kind of records, which is always really fun, because whenever I do these songs in my sets and shows, like, you have like the mums and dads that are like, oh, I know this one. And then you've got like the kids that are like, yes, I know this one. It's so funny to see that kind of like people of all generations coming together.
Well, I got to tell you, with that one specifically, just from knowing the original and seeing all the remakes of it and everybody trying to sample it, React is definitely an amazing job that you guys did with it. So congratulations on that too.
Oh, thank you.
Do you remember, speaking of Faithless and Robert Miles, do you remember the first dance song that got you into loving dance music?
So my sister was really into like her 90s era. She was very like the Spice Girls and all of that. But one of the biggest songs of what I remember as a kid growing up that was constantly on repeat was Believe by Cher.
Such a classic.
Yeah, and to be honest, like that was like the first time as well I can remember hearing like a voice that had all of that auto-tune and vocoder kind of effect on it. And I was like, that's not Cher. And then you're like, oh, it is. And I can remember hearing that and my sister being obsessed with it. So I always loved that song. And hence why when I did my X Factor audition process at the boot camp, so when I got past my first audition, you have to do the boot camp round. And I can remember being given this list of songs that we could all pull from. And I could hear down the corridors all the girls singing like the Whitney Houston song, the Aretha Franklin song, the Jennifer Hudson, I'm not going, like, you're going to love me. And everyone's like doing the diva moments. And I'm like, how the hell can I stand out when everyone sounds like Beyonce here? And I remember looking through the list and I was like, oh, Believe by Cher. And I just remember hearing nobody singing it around me. And I was like, well, this is one of my favorite songs. So I went in and I can remember finding a piano, like a keyboard in one of the practice rooms. And I stripped it all back and did, and then that was the moment when I realized as well, like, wow, the lyrics are really powerful in this song. And I think ultimately that's kind of, I think when I think of my love for dance music, I always carry that in every session I do now, where ultimately, if we was to strip all of this production right back, can I go on a piano and sing this song, and does it mean something, and am I telling a story? And with every dance song I've done, I would say it does do that. And for me, that was like an eye-opener, I think, at that kind of teenage of being like, oh, not only is it an absolute banger as it is and an absolute anthem, doing it in that vulnerable way and stripping it back, which kind of like was a huge moment for me. Like that kind of blew me up over here massively in that version. I think I got Cher back in the top 10 over here at that point, which was crazy, just from doing that performance. So I think, probably that song.
Well, I'm having deja vu because I think it was the last artist interview I did where we were talking about one thing that I love about dance music and what makes a good dance song is when you can strip away everything and it's still an amazing song. That's why I love dance music so much, is when the vocals are just so incredible.
Absolutely. I was speaking to my management the other day. I was like, the amount of dance records I've done now, I said, what would be really cool is to maybe do something, and I don't know what setting and where, but maybe I invite fans down and I get a piano out somewhere and I just do this random pop-up show where I just sing all of these songs, but in an acoustic way, and let them hear them in a completely different shade of light. Because I feel like if you can have people understand the stories behind it, then these songs even become even more to you. It's so funny, like the song that I did with KSI and Nathan Dawe, Lighter. Like I ended up sounding like a high-pitched chipmunk on it. It's got crazy production and my voice is sped up. But the very original is me on the piano, and I'm talking about my absolute heartbreak moment of trying to get over this guy. And it's like, it's just really interesting and funny, like how the birth of them and the journey these songs go on to what they actually end up sounding like on the radio. Even down to at the moment, I'm about to record next week an acoustic version of my brand new song, 0800 Heaven, with Joel Corey and Nathan Dawe. And it's the first time, I think, where I'm actually going to go, I really want this to be like, can you remember DJ Sammy when there was that candlelight version?
Heaven. Yeah.
That's where I want to go. I was like, why not? Like, let's try and make the acoustic just as strong as the actual dance record. I want this to be like a beautiful moment, because this song is so vulnerable, and what I wrote it about is such a personal thing. Like, I want people to understand and hear that. So definitely, I think dance music, that, and I think like there's something about, especially the festival season, right, in the summer, when I do my shows and I get to my dance section, like just seeing people's faces light up and seeing them smile and they come together and people join together and they're singing along, and like it just brings so much hope, and I think we've needed that for a while. So for me, I think it's just like the love that I have for it is just how it makes me feel, and it makes me feel good.
Well, you've got to do that pop-up, and I'll wait for my invitation, because when like Above and Beyond did the orchestral stuff and BT has done it, Pete Tong, and it is just so incredible shows that are stripped back, that are just piano or orchestra, and it's so amazing. Let's talk about this new song with Joel Corey and Nathan Dawe, 0800 Heaven. How was this song born?
So this song was actually so Nathan had a writing camp for his music, and I rocked up to the studio that day. It was absolutely like the worst weather. I nearly didn't make it to the session because I was like, I don't think I'm capable of driving in this kind of rain. And that's coming from a British person as well. It was horrendous. And I came in literally like a drowned rat. I was like, all my hair was soaked because from the car, I didn't have a brolly in the car. And then I got in there, and then I sat down. I was like, please tell me we're not writing something about sunshine and summer. I was like, because I'm just And Nathan actually sat there and he was like, do you know what? He's like, I have this thing that I've wanted to do for a while, but I feel like you're the person to do it with. And I was like, go on. And he was like, I want to write the saddest dance record of all time. I want to write like something that makes you want to dance, but it also makes you want to cry. And I was like, okay, I don't know if those two things go together, but let's do it. And I did it alongside as well Megan Catoni, who's an incredible songwriter. I mean, I wrote 21 Reasons with her. React, This Is Real with Jax Jones, and now this record. So me and her are kind of like the dance duo when we get together. And out came the concept of, I just loved this beautiful idea of, if you had one last thing to say to someone before you pass away, like, would you have any regrets? And if you did pass away and there was a way to connect to someone and you could have that last phone call with them, like, what would you want to say? And just something kind of like a big ultimatum, big dramatic moment, but over a dance trance nostalgic record. And when it started to come to life in the studio, we started off with the hook. And originally the lyric was, if heaven had a FaceTime? Or if heaven had FaceTime, and because everyone has iPhones these days. And I can remember like hearing it back and I was like, there's just something not, I was like, I love Apple, man, but I'm not sure that this is like as universal as it could be. And then out came the idea of changing it to phone line. And it was funny. I walked away being like, this is either so on the nose and so terrible and no one ever should hear this, or it's really great. And thank God I got the phone call the next day from Nathan being like, Elle, I think you've just written my next single, so let's do it. And then Joel, he must have sent it to Joel, because within 24 hours, I had like this group chat going crazy on WhatsApp that was just like, ping, 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 when are we doing it? And then I was like, okay, Joel wants to do it, Nathan wants to do it, okay. I had to push my whole solo campaign back to make it happen. I was like, right, okay, let's do it, boys. And but no, it has been fun, and I don't think it would have suited any time of year better than now. And we're about to go to Ibiza as well and perform it for the first time together there, and that's like the absolute stomping ground for these kind of records to be performing it at. So I'm excited for that as well. But yeah, it's been out 1 week and the reaction's been crazy over here. So I'm mega excited.
Yeah, it's an awesome song. And I love how it's got that nostalgia of like harder trance sound, kind of like Calvin's Miracle, which is great too.
Yeah.
You know, you've got so many songs out that you're on. As a programmer, it is a pain in the ass programming Evolution on iHeartRadio, but that is a very good thing for you. Is it hard to keep track of all your songs when you've got so many out?
It's funny because sometimes, not the songs that I've recorded and I stay on, but sometimes I've written a lot of records and then I haven't stayed on them as the feature. And I'll be in a shop and I'll start singing along something. I'm like, how do I know this? And I'll be like, oh, I wrote it, but I forgot that it even came out. And but that's kind of even like, in a weird way, they're even like the better moments, because you're like, wow, something I wrote, somebody like still thinks that, do you know what I mean? As a writer, that's like the biggest compliment in the world, is when you write something and somebody wants to use it and use it for their own project. And I love it. And I think what I've definitely fallen in love with over the last 4 or 5 years is, I think because I came from a show like X Factor and not many people knew that I wrote my whole first album, and I wrote Ghost, and I did that with Ryan and Ryan Tedder, and the whole first album came from me at the age of 16. And I think exploring and delving into different genres of music and being more of like a co-writer in sessions is like really opened my mind and my eyes to understanding what I enjoy and like what makes me happy, and that there's no rules. I used to put myself in a box and be like, oh, if I do a feature, I need to make sure people still know that I'm still like a soulful pop artist and I take my music really seriously. But actually, if you was to see me on a Saturday night getting drunk at home on a bottle of wine with my mates around the kitchen, we're dancing to all these kind of records. So why wouldn't I want to do that myself? I don't know. And it's fun now when I do my shows. Like, you've got this kind of live anthemic sounding records, like you've got Ghost and Glow going off and Empire, and then you've got it kind of then delves into this world, and then you've got me at the piano just singing my ballads. So there's like a whole mix mashup of stuff going on, but I love it. And I think it keeps me like on my toes and keeps me excited about what I do. And at the end of the day, I want to keep, progressing as a songwriter and keep pushing myself.
Well, congratulations on all of the smashes you've got out right now. Congratulations on your third #1, No Sleep, With Regard. I am so glad we finally got to chat. Thank you so much for your time on America's Dance 30.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.